Lupin III is a series that's been around for a long time at this point. It has gone through many different kinds of stylistic changes over the years as well. But as of 2019, Lupin did something it has never done before. It went full CG. Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm the Anime Top Scholar, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 2019 movie called Lupin III: The First, and see if this movie is worth a watch, and to see if this new stylistic choice is good or bad for the franchise. Normally, when an anime fan hears that an anime is going to be full CG, they feel a chill go down their spine. CG in anime has a very poor reputation, to say the least, and it's honestly pretty well deserved. However, in recent times, there has been some better looking CG anime, like Studio Orange's Land of the Lustrous and Beastars for example. However, that means little here, as it's not Studio Orange who made this movie. No, this movie was produced by Studio Marza Animation Planet, who is mostly known for making cutscenes for newer Sonic games. But they are also a subsidiary of TMS Entertainment, and they also helped out on production for the Sonic movie, as well as having made the full CG Captain Harlock. Lupin III: The First was also directed by Takahashi Yamasaki, who also directed a full CG movie called Stand By Me Doraemon, so at least the staff and studio is experienced with CG production, and most importantly, CG production on things that aren't anime, though that doesn't have to mean anything. Alright, so let's talk about the story. The movie starts off in a Nazi-occupied France during World War II. There, we quickly meet the archaeologist Professor Bresson. The Nazis are on their way to grab him, so he entrusts his fleeing family with a golden pendant and his diary, both of which the Nazis want, as it is said to contain the information on the location of an immense treasure called the Eclipse. The family flees, but the Nazis take up the chase, and the family ends up in an accident and dies, leaving only behind a baby girl. Bresson's diary is also lost in this accident. Fast forward 20 years to the 1960s, and Professor Bresson's diary has resurfaced, and now Lupin wants to steal it to get his hands on the treasure. But he's not alone in that, as a girl named Letitia also wants it, as well as Fujiko, who is working together with some Nazi remnants. The Nazis want the diary so that they can use the treasure to revive the Third Reich, and now with the diary in their hands, it is up to Lupin and the gang to stop them from achieving their goal. Visually is where I was the most worried with this movie. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, you never want to hear that an anime is going to be all CG. However, in this case, I was weirdly excited to see how Lupin would tackle this, and I'm glad to be able to say that Lupin actually tackled its full CG debut quite well. The character models actually look quite decent. They maintained the cartoonish look of the group quite well, and Lupin's more monkey-like features were quite nicely realized. It obviously looks a bit weird seeing them in full CG like that, but I quickly found myself liking this new style. They also translated the expressive humor of the characters really well. Visual humor has often been a part of the more cartoonish side of the Lupin franchise, and with these full CG models, they were able to capitalize on this quite a lot. The only thing I took an issue with in regards to the models, especially Lupin's, was that they sometimes looked a bit too shiny and almost wet for my liking. You can especially see it in the scene where Lupin tries to steal Bresson's diary and tries to escape. The light from the chandelier that he grapples to makes him look especially shiny and wet. But in the grand scheme of things, that's a very minor complaint. The animation was also quite good, and I was especially struck by the effects work when they did explosions and had the dust kick around. It just looks really good. The entire movie looks very good, and I honestly wouldn't mind seeing another full CG Lupin movie if it looks at least as good as this. I still obviously prefer the 2D style, as that is kinda why I got into watching anime in the first place, but watching a 3D anime every once in a while isn't so bad either, when it looks as good as this. So here's to hoping that anime CG is just gonna keep improving and get even better. Then maybe we will stop complaining so much about anime CG. Maybe. The music in this movie is still the same jazzy goodness as we're used to with Lupin. This time, it's Yo and the Explosion Band, led by Yuji Ono, that's back to give a new interpretation of the classic Lupin tunes, as well as some new tracks to fit the mood of this movie. There really isn't much to say here. It's Lupin music. No matter how many times I hear this jazzy goodness, I just never seem to tire of it. It just never feels the same if they don't include the classic Lupin jazz, like the Woman Called Fujiko Mine did. I really like that soundtrack as well for different reasons, but it doesn't quite feel like a Lupin soundtrack. The great thing about Lupin using the same tracks over and over again is that it also makes it very recognizable. Even if you don't know much about Lupin, chances are that you'll be able to pick his soundtrack out. It also makes some scenes feel a lot more impactful, since you know exactly what to expect when a certain song comes on, as well as being able to divert expectations with it. Also, if you're a really big Lupin fan, it's fun to try to figure out which version of the Lupin opening they are using as the base. Anyways, that's enough geeking out about Lupin music. Let's wrap this up with some final thoughts. Man, I really fucking enjoyed this movie. It quickly made its way up my list of favorite Lupin anime. It didn't make it all the way to the top, but it got quite close. Now that's not because this is a complex story or does anything special with the characters that's never been done before. Quite the contrary, actually. It's just more Lupin, but in CG this time. However, why I really found myself attached to this movie at this time is because I missed a true return to the older Lupin. Especially recently, Lupin has switched more of its focus towards a gentleman thief in a modern setting, and the issues that comes with trying to steal stuff with modern security and technology. However, this movie said screw all that, we're returning Lupin to the past, 1960s to be exact, and we're returning the classic villains, which are the remaining Nazis who have still not been caught. It plays on the stupid rumors that Hitler actually didn't die, but escaped to South America, and it pokes a lot of fun at this. It's the sort of stuff that made me fall in love with Lupin in the first place. The fact that it's just some dumb fun, and that it really isn't afraid to even joke around with a bit of a controversial topic. Now, obviously, I understand that not everyone is gonna agree with that, and I totally understand. If you don't like this sort of humor, and then bringing up things like the Nazis, then you should absolutely stay away from this movie, as it is probably not for you. But if you aren't easily offended by stuff like that, then I urge you to give this movie a shot. Even if CG isn't normally your thing, then I still urge you to try it out. This movie is not your average CG anime. It is far better than that. Obviously, still not at the level of, say, Pixar and their stuff, but in the anime sphere, it is way better than most everything else CG. At least in my opinion. And my opinion matters to me, goddammit! So that was Lupin III the First. I wasn't planning on making another Lupin video again so fast, but as I was watching this movie, I knew right away that I had to talk about it. This movie definitely goes down as one of my favorite Lupin movies. It has that nice mix of serious and silly, which makes Lupin such an entertaining franchise. It's also nice to see them return to World War II and have Nazis as the villains again, since that was more of an early Lupin thing, that kind of went away over time. It makes it feel a bit nostalgic, despite taking on a completely new artistic vision for the series. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, then don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more anime related content from the Anime Top Scholar. Peace!